Hey everyone, welcome back to Poplar Preparedness. Huge news coming out of the Middle East. Two Greek-flagged oil tankers, the Prudent Warrior and Delta Poseidon, had been boarded by Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Helicopters approached the two tankers. Soldiers dropped down from the helicopters, speedboats coming from the coast. This is in international waters. The speedboats surrounded the tankers and forced them to enter to Iranian waters. What's huge about this, even more than anything else, is the fact that nobody's talking about it. All the news media is absolutely dead silent. Nobody's talking about it. And we're going to get into what's going on here. This is a tick for tat. This is a response to something the United States just did, and we're going to get into it right here. All right, folks, we're heading into Memorial Day weekend here in the United States. We are in Memorial Day weekend, and we are looking at record high gas prices at $4.59 per gallon average across the United States. This is what we're seeing across Europe. We're seeing this across Canada. We're seeing it across Asia. Gas prices are way up, or benzene if you're in certain places, and diesel prices are even more extreme. This is a really bad time for an oil crisis, and that's exactly what we're getting developing in the Middle East. We are not talking about little tugboats full of oil. We are talking about ships that have 1 million barrels of oil on them. We're talking about massive amounts of oil. These are not little toys to be played with, and yet that is exactly what we're getting right now on, ironically, Memorial Day weekend, where we honor the sacrifices in the United States of the soldiers who have died in battle to protect freedom and to protect American interests abroad. So let's get into what's going on here. We are 3 months in to the European invasion by Russians. There has been a massive disruption across the Black Sea of tankers and ships, particularly related to food, but we're also seeing disruptions in oil. Of course, the sanctions that have gone into place have not actually explicitly banned Russian oil from going to different places, but most ports in Europe are refusing to accept Russian tankers into their ports. So it's not a ban of exports of oil, but there are some logistical hurdles to get the oil from Russia to Europe and to other places, and that is what we're seeing right now. It has the fear of the cutoff has been elevated, so that's partially what's driving oil prices up. But at the same time, there are some very real logistical hurdles, and less oil is getting to market. But we are looking at the possibility, Germany particularly is threatening a full cutoff. Germany has been one of the biggest vocal opposition to a full embargo on Russian energy products. It sounds like they're getting close to agreeing to the banning of the exports of Russian oil. This would be massive for the market. Now, not everybody in the world is going to go on board with that. China and India are probably going to keep buying Russian oil, but just putting in those sanctions and banning Europeans from buying the oil, and of course the United States is already on board with that. The United States has already stopped all imports from Russia of oil. This is not the time for a crisis in the Middle East, and that's exactly what we have here. All right, so Friday afternoon, so just less than 24 hours ago, the Iranian helicopters approached the Prudent Warrior, which is a Suez Max oil tanker. That's the maximum size of a ship that you can fit into the Suez Canal. Basically, it's capable of carrying 1 million, up to 1 million barrels of oil. It is flying under the Greek flag. So this is a Greek-flagged vessel. And the Delta Poseidon, which is also very similar. It's also a Greek-flagged ship, and it's also a Suez Max. Now, these ships were not right next to each other. They were in two separate areas off the Iranian coast. Both of them were in international waters. They were approached by helicopters, special soldiers from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard rappelled down onto those ships and under threat of gunpoint took control of the ships, which is an international act of piracy. They were then surrounded by missile speedboats, who then escorted them into Iranian waters, where they have now been detained. This is massive. I mean, the threat of an oil spill of that size in the Persian Gulf would just be catastrophic. We are also aware that this is not the first event in this series, all right? They are apparently doing this in response to the United States seizing a Russian oil tanker off the coast of Greece. The oil tanker Pegasus, which was carrying 700,000 barrels of Iranian oil, were seized on Thursday. So this ship had mechanical issues off the coast of Greece, and the ship then entered into Greek waters seeking assistance with the mechanical issues, where it was detained. Originally, it was thought that this was it was a Russian-flagged vessel. They initially thought it was carrying Russian oil, and so they thought it would fall under existing sanctions. And so it was detained temporarily in April, but they have now realized that it's not Russian oil on there, it's Iranian oil, and so now the United States just this week has seized the vessel, and this is what the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is moving in response to. They have now seized 2 Greek Suez Max tankers. Friends, this is not what we need going on right now. And part of the more disturbing part of this is how hush-hush this is in the international media. Nobody's talking about this. In other times, when the Iranian Revolutionary Guard threatened to take over ships or harassed tankers, this is like world news, but now they go out there and just literally just take 2 tankers and hold the crews hostage, and we're not supposed to say anything about this at all. The talks between the United States regarding the sanctions and the Iranian nuclear deal, those talks have apparently fallen apart, and the sanctions are remaining on Iran, which has infuriated the Iranians, and of course is a black stain on the mark of the current U.S. presidency administration. And so apparently, because of the failure of those discussions, they don't want to talk anything about what's going on here. The U.S. government seized the Iranian oil off the coast of Greece just before a holiday weekend. If you're a fan of pinball preparedness, and other channels too have pointed this out. I believe it was Rush Limbaugh back in the day that pointed this out. The information dump that happens on Fridays, and this is huge. This massive instigation of Iran happening just before a long holiday weekend in the United States, hoping that all that news will just get brushed under the rug. And that seems to have happened here in large part. Nobody seems to want to talk about how 2 Greek-flagged vessels, of which they are NATO partners to us, so an attack upon Greece is an attack upon the United States and all other NATO members. So technically, the United States needs to respond militarily to this, as does other NATO members. So this is just huge news coming out of the Middle East. We're going to see what happens next, whether they're going to try to negotiate those ships out of confines, whether we're going to even talk about the fact that these ships are crews are being held hostage by the Iranians, which is we don't have any word on who those are on those crews. Whether there are any Americans, whether there are any Greeks on board, or what nationalities are involved. But this is a hostage crisis. Not quite as many people as the time that they took over the U.S. Embassy. But once again, we're in this type of situation. Hopefully it can be negotiated peacefully. Hopefully the ships will be released. But wait for news to come out on this because it is going to be huge. All right, folks, if you guys do have any more comments about what you're seeing out there on your store shelves, or if you have information about what's happening in your industries or people you've talked to, if you have a small business, what things are like, please do keep those information that coming. Just post in the comments down below. And if you do tag it with the word update, that does make it a little easier for me to find. But I will see you guys later. Steve Poplar out. There's another video here that you might want to check out, and I'll see you over there.